Hello, everybody. This is the Video Game Dads podcast. This is a new podcast that we're beginning together. Myself and two friends of mine have been talking about doing this for a while, and we wanted to tell you a little bit about ourselves and what brought us to do this to start out. So, Benjamin, why don't you start out by telling us who you are and what you're about?
Yeah, let's start out. Episode 0, I guess we're going to call it. 0, Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, depending on how many times we have to re-record this. So my name is Benjamin, and I have one kid on the way, and we decided to do this because we thought, hey, 3 guys, we're in our 30s, we've grown up with games, and we all have one other thing in common. We either have kids or have some kids on the way, and we thought maybe there's other people like that in the same boat. So we're just going to hang out, talk, good excuse to get away from said kids. It's a very quiet podcast today because somehow we don't have any kids down here by some miracle. And if anything, if no one listens to this, that's fine. If no one writes into any emails, we'll write into ourselves. We'll just keep doing this thing until we get bored of it. But I don't think we're going to do that for a while. But yeah, that's it. One kid on the way for me. Adam, you have...
I have a single 3-year-old who's right in the middle of his tantrum phase, and I actually think I heard my wife throw him in bed here a little bit ago because I heard a lot of banging on the door. He's in the middle of the I don't want to go to sleep, can't be by myself. They make these cool little things you can put on the doorknob where they can't grip them. And so it doesn't matter how hard he tries, that little dude just spins on the doorknob and he can't get out. So he's in prison right now. And if anybody doesn't own these, I highly suggest you look into it because they're worth their weight in gold.
So 1.5 kids with you plus my one on the way. And then the last guy you're hearing is Mr. Shane. He's the big guy. The reason why he's not talking as much is he's probably a little more tired because you have 3 kids under 3. Is
yes,
that right?
3 under 3. We just got past that phase, actually, so they're a little bit older than that. But, yeah, I'm about to fall asleep over here because it's a little quiet compared to what I'm used to. It's mass chaos all the time. I'm a stay-at-home dad, so basically I do everything. Go to speech therapy with the kids if they need to go there, or going to the park, take care of the kids. So I'm always busy. I don't get to game as much as these two. I wish. I'm jelly, but... That's the way it goes.
Hey, it's few and far between. I don't even have a kid yet, and I don't feel like I play that much games. But we're all collectors. That's the other thing we have in common. We're crazy collectors. We are currently in Adam's wonderful basement, and we have quite the little setup here. We're going to try to meet every week, have this be a weekly podcast. Of course, I would be permitting whatever, holidays, things like that. So we're going to try to do that every week. Maybe be an hour. We'll just kind of see how it goes. Talk about everything. Yeah. Life, gaming.
Yeah. And as far as the purpose of the podcast, we've all kind of, I think, been a little bit plugged into YouTube and listening to podcasts and so on and so forth, here in the recent past. And so as far as our audience, we're hoping to kind of connect with and reach with people who are in similar boats as us. We're not going to be big on, shock factor or anything like that. Not a lot of cursing here. Basically want to keep it kind of family friendly, talk about the things that we really enjoy, and also maybe fill a niche that maybe isn't so filled right now. There's there's a million 15-year-old YouTubers online and Let's Plays and people
that's not our generation.
Yeah, people are trying to beat you over the head with how cool they are and that sort of thing. And that's really not what we want to be about. We just kind of want to be relaxed about it and have this sort of be a catharsis for what we do. So as far as typical things that we're gonna cover in any given episode, I think we're going to try to pay attention to some current topics in gaming, things that are new, things that are coming out, things that we're excited about.
Like for example, where we are in November of 2016, that would be like the Stitch, the new Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
See, it's obviously stuck so much I've called it the wrong name. But yes, the Nintendo Switch is new. Like something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll talk about things that we're kind of into or things that are new. But again, like Benjamin mentioned earlier, we're all collectors and have reasonable collections from a lot of the old systems, and I all 3 of us actually still play a lot of old video games. So hopefully we'll be able to talk about some of the old games, the things that we've enjoyed since childhood, and be able to maybe drop some knowledge bombs on a few of these things on occasion. I wouldn't profess to be an expert, and I'm not sure that any of us is on any given topic. I mean, obviously we're not members of the gaming media or anything like that, but we've been fans, and we've been fans, basically since any of us can remember.
It seems like every time we get together, it's when we have a game night or anything like that, we end up talking more about games than actually playing.
Yeah.
So we just really, I don't know, we just love talking about video games. So we figured, we'll start here.
Well,
and try
our
this out.
dexterity isn't as good, and honestly, like the times that we've had where we can like game for 5-6 hours, have a buddy over, and then do it again the next day, that doesn't happen. So by the time we get together, we're just like excited showing each other the new games we got,
new pickups and everything.
Yeah, the new videos we got. It's actually probably like a girl book club or something. Like, I hate to say it, we try to say we're all men playing all these fun games, but we're probably like no different than their tea parties, because all they probably do is talk about the houseboy or the new person at work, something like that. Oh, and that the other thing we're going to try to do, too, is keep this thing pretty family-friendly. So for our listeners, our dozens and dozens of fake listeners we have out there right now, we will try no, we won't try. This will be a family-friendly podcast. Even though we are guys and we will hold our tongue a few times, we know that probably, if ideally, we're going to have people listening to this, and maybe little kids are in earshot. So just like with us, with our own kids, we probably wouldn't want someone cussing, and then we also wouldn't want, let's say, the lady of the house hearing that and then saying turn that off. So
every time I listen to podcasts and somebody just goes on a huge rant, just cussing, I was like, trying to get to my phone and turn it down real quick. It's like, come on.
Yeah, so all the wives out there, we all love our wives. We respect our wives. They come in number one. Wives are one. Number 2 are kids, and number 12 is gaming. So there, that gets you out of the doghouse right there from the get go.
All right, and as far as going back into the collecting stuff a little bit, we'll also be covering things that we're currently doing and collecting. I'm a bit of a hoarder, probably more so than Benjamin or Shane, but Shane's a pretty big hoarder as well, and Benjamin, I don't know really how to describe you as a
I would
collector.
say you two are more of the sane collector. I'm sort of the dirty collector.
That's
I would say
true,
more of
actually,
if you come over and find mine, it's swap meet fresh. Like a lot of times it's really dirty, missing the manual, stuff like that, but at a really good deal. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah,
you guys are more about the completing and looking good and everything.
So what we're mainly talking about is, okay, so everybody knows there's classic video games out there. They're getting more expensive. Just like anything, vinyl, dolls you keep in a curio. Everybody's going to collect something. We're collecting tangible, physical video games. Mainly, NES is where our generation started. There's some others, but we found that these kind of things you can find at swap meets. There's a huge YouTube community behind all this, and that's kind of how we all found each other. We probably realized we had games. We found other people with similar collecting habits online, and then we met each other all organically. It's not like we were all childhood friends. We technically met through this hobby.
Yeah.
All like, hey, look at this guy. Hey, check this guy out. Hey, I saw this guy on Craigslist. You and me, Shane.
We
Craigslist.
actually met through Craigslist.
Yeah, and I actually met Shane on Craigslist too. That could be
terrible.
Yeah, that could be misconstrued. However, it was purely purely a meet to buy video games.
We grew up and took baths together when we were 4. I don't know if that's any better. Yeah. No. So actually, Shane, you still to this day are in my phone as NES guy.
Well,
it doesn't say Shane.
I have to check my phone. I think you're in Cool But Gamer Ben.
Okay.
And I think you are under Great Collector Adam.
Wow.
Still to this day, yeah. You got
good.
the title of
So
that
you have
one.
so many Ben and Adam friends.
Well, you guys are both in my phone under your names. So.
Yeah.
I wasn't nearly that creative.
Quit
with the
being
whole thing.
normal. We're crazy guys hanging out in your basement right now talking about video games. You're being too normal, putting us one name.
So at any rate, let's move on, I guess, and talk about current topics in games or things that are newsworthy right now. And one thing that actually we all have some experience with, because we're all new owners of PlayStation VR.
Yes.
Yeah, all 3 of us. How crazy is that? So all 3 of us have the PlayStation VR right now. The new, there's 3 gaming headsets out now. There's the Oculus Rift. There's the help me out.
HTC Vive.
Yeah, thank you.
Vive.
The expensive yet
Yeah.
probably I've heard the best HTC Vive, and now we have the PSVR.
Yeah,
And
for
we
us more
all-
common folk.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
all have one. We're all excited about it. I'd
Manus
say
elitist.
Shane, you were probably,
PCist.
even though I was the first to pre-order, you were probably the most excited about it.
Me and you actually went to the demo, or went to Best Buy to do a demo for it. I was sort of skeptical about it. I was like, I don't know, it'll be okay, whatever. I was completely sold. I did the what was it, the Shark Tank? Went down in the ocean. Totally awesome. Loved it. Fully immersed in it. Just felt like I was there. Just something completely different. I'd never experienced anything like that since actually till, like NES days or something.
Did you ever play? So for me, my VR background was okay. So back, I'm in my early 30s. Back in the early 90s, in the malls, did you ever see these, Adam? In the malls, they
No,
had
not
the
sure.
actual VR setups where they would take a storefront. You would pay like $1 a minute, and this is like early 90s money.
Oh, I do
$1 a minute.
remember these,
and-
actually.
And I forget what they're called. I actually saw a recent documentary where they're trying to like bring these things back because they're made with like specific computers, specific chips. You'd put the headset on, and this was like VR, and you're in. Obviously, it's not using cameras, motion tracking. It's all just gyros in there, and the shapes would be like Tron-like, one color, green, but it looked pretty good. And I remember playing it as a kid, loving it, thinking, I can't wait till this comes. And you go 25 years into 20 years in the future,
Yeah.
and it's finally here. And that's why I'm so stoked about it. A lot of people are kind of lukewarm about the PlayStation VR, which hooks up, if people don't know, hooks up to your regular PlayStation 4. So essentially, you just need that and a camera. It's currently $399, right?
It was it's $4.99
$4.99
for
with
the
the
bundle
bundle.
with
Yeah.
the controllers and the camera.
Yep.
I believe for the headset alone, it's I think that's the
The base model's
Oh, yeah,
like
the
$399.
core.
Yeah, $399.
They call it the core.
Yeah, so it's
bundle.
still relatively expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
I had a different experience with that because I played it actually out at a what was it, Worlds of Fun. At Worlds of Fun, they had a little station set up, and I had a completely different experience. I played it, and I just thought it was the worst looking thing. Had the worst, experience with it. I just didn't think, and I think I was probably about 10 years old, and I just did not like it at all. I mean, it's just not for me. But that's why I sort of went in going with this is like, this isn't going to be that great.
Yeah.
No, completely mind changing.
Yeah, and when we went to Best Buy, I thought it was pretty cool, and I was excited. I was just trying to see if I would get motion sick, right?
Yeah.
Because I get motion sick probably pretty easier, about average, maybe easier than the average bear, and I was worried about it, but I did it. I did the little Eve Valkyrie, which is like a spaceship game. I did fine with it. I haven't had any problems. What about you, Adam? Have you had any motion sickness?
yeah. So So to start out, PlayStation VR is legit, and it's actually really immersive, I think. And I guess the thing that I'm most impressed with is the ability to be able to look all the way around you, and the fact that the camera and everything really does seem to track 1-to-1, with the
Sure,
thing.
yeah.
You know,
Does a good job.
I think
Yeah.
back at VR in the past. I mean, it's always been like a movie thing, or
Oh yeah,
and-
Lawnmower Man.
Yeah, and things that I remember, from the past in the movies, and it doesn't really equate or count, but as far as headsets go, my only experience, prior to now has been the Virtual Boy. But
old
I'm
Virtual
actually
Boy.
a big fan of.
yeah,
we can save that for.
I still
Yeah,
have my
they-
Virtual Boy and it still works.
Yeah.
But as far as the PlayStation VR goes and motion sickness, I've got the VR Worlds that came with the bundle, and then I've got the demo disc, and beyond that, I haven't really bought anything yet. But yeah, there's a game, and I'm blanking on the name of it, but in the VR Worlds, it's the alien ship game where you're in this sort of mech type robot that jumps between all these different platforms, and it also rotates, so you're jumping from flat surfaces to the ceiling to the wall
Yep.
and all those kinds of things. I have not had any issues with motion sickness except on that,
yeah.
single game. And I at first I started to feel a little bit in the pit of my stomach, and I thought I'm just going to power through this because I'm not a sissy. And
It just got worse, didn't it?
It did. It just
Yeah.
got worse, and eventually I had to take the helmet off and stop. And it actually took me a good 20 or 30 minutes to kind of even back out and
Yeah.
put the headset back on. But I think that it has to do with the rotation, and you're seeing these things visually, and it's very much like you're right there in it. But your inner ear is not giving you the feedback,
Yep.
and you're not really having that tactile feedback. And there's some little disconnect that happens in your brain. But aside from that, I've actually spent a lot of time with the VR and not really had any issues at all. And
it's
actually,
not really the hardware. That's the thing too. It's not the hardware that's giving you sickness, because that's the thing that was reported. As soon as you lose the 1-to-1, that makes you sick. It's just
Exactly.
actually that type of game, which I agree the same thing you're talking about, which is I can't remember the name either of it.
Well, I wonder if
But it
if
made
it's
me
like
sick.
we got to get our VR legs underneath us. Also, it's like we're not used to this. I mean, is
Yeah,
it
there
sort
may
of
be
one
some of
those
those things,
or,
but-
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've been playing here and there. I've basically been demoing it for friends. I don't know about you guys, but I've had about 3 or 4 different people over, and it's been great because they're the average. It's kind of like your first experience with Wii when you showed old people a Wii 10 years ago. And
love
for our younger listeners, that was quite the craze. Like when it first came out, everybody had the Wii. The Wii went crazy. It's a phenomenon. Now people kind of trash on it, but it was innovative at the very, very least. You have
Yeah.
to give it to the Nintendo Wii about that. But with this, it's the same feeling of, oh, you're taking the Wii bowling and you're bowling and you finally get it and then you're addicted to it. This thing, you put it on and people's reactions vary from, whoa, this is awesome, to I am freaking out. My sister, I didn't tell you guys this. My sister is like, she won't ever ride a roller coaster. Very, I don't know, old lady trapped in. I shouldn't say that. She's just very she's not going to be one that ever says, "Oh yeah, let's do it," or "Yeah, let's jump off that bridge." Yeah, let's do this. She's very safe. We'll say that. She put on the shark. She put on the mask, and outside of the menus, when we got in the Shark Tank, she lasted about 10 seconds. She instantly felt her face because she said, get this, she said she wanted to push the goggles up to her face so water wouldn't get in. And then she also felt like she needed to hold her breath, and then she instantly said it was too intense. And
Yeah.
at that point, if you don't know, there's only fish going around you. It's very
Yeah.
innocent. You're in a shark cage, sure, but there's only fish going around. She couldn't take it. Yet, her niece, or I'm sorry, my niece, which is her daughter, who's like 11,
Yeah.
handled the whole thing. She just thought it was really cool when the shark jumps through. She
Yeah.
took it fine.
She even gets scared at all?
Yeah, not really. No, not really.
Really?
But I've had buddies who are older than me over, and they love it. They're not necessarily gamers. They played the Rush of Blood, which is like a carnival circusy game, but
Great
it's like a
game,
horror
yeah.
game. Things jump out at you. It's really good.
Yeah.
But it's also pretty freaky. And I've had guys just trembling in fear. I've sent you guys videos of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. It's fun to watch somebody experience it as much as it is to experience
That's-
it, which is something the
yeah.
Virtual Boy didn't have. This has people don't know, a second screen. So you can actually see what the people are seeing on your own TV, which I think if they didn't have that, this would be a hard sell. But I
Yeah.
think that
Yeah, no, I actually think
makes
it's great being
It's
able to
actually
see what's
more
going
social
on.
than what you would
Yeah.
think. I mean, it's more
Yeah.
social than what you think. I mean, you sit there and want to have another person experience it like you did, and it's just great to see that. But then you could also see it on the screen, which is awesome. Instead of just putting on the headset, sort of like, I guess the Virtual Boy was, but I mean, where you just stick your head in there and nobody else could see what's going on. It's just, it's great. To
I
see.
actually used to with the Virtual Boy. Just great. I used to say it was a lot cooler than it actually was when people were looking. I was like, "Oh my god, this is so cool!" Knowing people couldn't see it, and then when they stick their head in there and they see
Yeah.
the reality of it.
Then you
it's
see
just kind of a
red and
simple
black.
green screen. That's good. But yeah, we are all big fans of the PSVR, which is not honestly probably what the majority of people think. Some people are wishy-washy, but people
I'd say
who've
it's a good outcome for him.
Yeah,
I'd say
with
it's about 75.
people that actually experience it. There's just a lot of skeptics. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many people out there that have played it that just kind of don't like it. But maybe they're jaded. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we all, I think, are happy to have it.
Yeah, I'd say it's not going to take over gaming. Of course, it's
No.
going to me it's going to be a part of gaming. It's definitely not going to take over the controller. I mean, it's here and hopefully to stay. They just
Yeah.
hopefully the Res Evil Biohazard is really good.
Oh, yeah.
If that is good, I think it'll be a bright future for it.
Yeah, it's, I think it's I mean, for lack of a better term, it probably makes me a really bad gamer, actually. But I'm kind of a big fan of the sort of passive games, if that makes sense. The ones with a really good narrative that you get into.
Yeah.
So things like the Telltale games, like The Wolf Among Us, or the Game of Thrones game, if it wasn't so buggy that it's almost unplayable. But the
like
Walking Dead games.
Choose your own adventure.
Sort of, yeah. But, after you've been at work and things are weighing on you and you're kind of tired and everything else, those games are really nice because you just sort of put them in, you see a good story, it kind of gets you into it and that sort of thing. But, I mean, the thing that I'm most excited for potentially, and I probably differ in this from some folks, but I really like the idea of just like some of the VR demos on the VR worlds, it's just taking a journey, just putting the thing on, being in another place, being passive about it, and having some game designers and some artists just show you some cool stuff, that just doesn't happen in normal life. And so I'm actually more jonesed up almost about that sort of thing than I am about the actual being able to play games on it. That being said, I mean, some of the games are really, really neat. And having that second screen for the television is really cool because it's like my wife, who she does play games with me at times, but she's not, quote unquote, what you would consider, some sort of a gamer that really plays a lot of games. But like, we played some VR the other day where she wore the helmet and I watched the TV and played the game, and she just got to experience the game as it happened.
Which game was that? Was that the
Thumper? In particular.
Oh yeah, Thumper. And have you guys played the one that came free, which is actually really good? The one with the little mini me's. It's like VR. It's like the toys.
The one that was it the platformer one that you like? I like that
Playroom.
one.
Okay,
the Playroom. Yeah,
VR Playroom is actually. Have you played that yet?
I have not. It's downloaded and it looks at me every time I start up the PlayStation.
You should check it out because it actually is completely social. Where it's the first time the person that puts on the headset, you're actually not always seeing what they're seeing. You're actually seeing it from a third-person view and control your own players. So it is probably, it's crazy because it's free. It's probably one of the best games out there. They
have like 3 or 4 different mini games. So there's like 3 or 4 different ones. I haven't got to do what is that one? I can't remember now. It's it drops down and grabs the people.
The ghosts?
Yeah, it grabs the ghost. I haven't played that one yet.
Yeah.
I've only done the platform one.
Yeah, they're
the
fun.
cowboy one looks awesome.
They're fun. We should play it all and kind of talk about it and go through them, especially if you haven't played it yet. I won't spoil it for you, but it's actually a really good experience. And it's a good social thing. And you could that's one of the first ones you can play with your kids. So like our kid, again, mine is negative age, right? My wife's pregnant. I don't have a kid yet, but we're pretty close. I'm about like 4 months away. So we're excited. I'm also thinking this is the last few times I could play any games. And so the oldest kiddo is what, between you two? How old's your boy?
Just over 3. I think
3?
Shane's daughter is actually a little bit older.
A little bit older.
A little bit older.
Yeah.
A few months
Okay,
older.
so we're like right at 3. So in other words, our kids are terrible at video games right now.
Yeah.
Right?
The mini's going to be great.
Yeah,
you
and
can tear that thing up. There you
Well,
go.
the thing about our playing games with my kid is he's actually really smart, which is discouraging in some ways, because I was the older brother, so I have 2 younger brothers and an older sister. But myself and my sister, whenever so there's 2 years between us, and there's a 4.5 year gap between us and me and my next youngest brother. So there was a time when we were kids where I was pretty good at playing games relative to them, and they didn't really know any better. So I'd be playing Mario, and I would give them the second controller and say, "Hey, look at what you're doing! Aren't you good?" And while I was playing, tricking them into thinking that they were playing. My kid's 3 years old and has already figured out that's crap. Yeah. that I'm just trying to pull one over on him, and so that worked for a little while. But kids are growing up with iPads and
that's
all
the
this kind of
thing.
stuff.
Like
And
my girl Lexi will just an iPad. She works that thing almost better than me at 3.
yeah,
it's mind blowing.
They're future babies. I mean, to them, the internet is just like nature. It's like a tree.
Yeah.
It's just something that always was.
Yeah.
Well, so not to get too off topic, you guys are reminding me of something that I think I've talked to you guys about once or twice. It seems like a pipe dream, but I heard about this once. I don't know if it was on a forum or a YouTube video or like a Kotaku article, which Kotaku's like a gaming kind of bloggy website. There's a guy, no, it was Kotaku now that I remember. There was a guy that wanted to start his kids basically through the video game years as if he was growing up through them, except a little accelerated. So
wow.
if this doesn't make any, that was a weird way of explaining it. Basically, he's starting his kid on Atari and working his way up to
Wow.
this generation. Yeah, but isn't that kind of
Man.
badass?
Yeah.
Badass for thinking about it.
Yeah.
You start out on Atari, works himself to Nintendo, works himself to, evidently, I'm skipping obviously a lot, but Super Nintendo, then to Nintendo 64. And he literally, a year at a time, like he's putting these things away.
He must
and
have
he's
one kid, right?
bringing
He's got
them
one
out.
kid.
I don't know. Like, I think so. And I think also, like, his collection isn't as robust. Like, right now I'm looking, this is, obviously you can hear us, you can't see us. I'm looking at thousands of games around us right now, and a kid can just pick whatever he wants. But, I'm thinking that if you, at least maybe in the kid's room, you start him out on these games and have him work his way through it, especially because we know this because we're old guy gamers. Yeah. Games were a lot harder than they are now.
Yeah,
I actually am okay.
Understatement.
Yeah, understatement.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I'm okay with them being easy because I don't have time for it to be hard anymore.
Yep.
And we have a lot more games to play now, so you got to get through them to get through others, and they're kind of, some of them are more experiences. But like, let's go back to like Mega Man 2. There's videos on YouTube of like people playing the first level of Mega Man, like 10 people, and maybe one of them gets through it after like 20 tries, because these games were made to have you get your money's worth because they weren't as deep as they are now. Now there's like narrative, cinematic games. A lot of them are like movies.
Yeah.
Games used to be harder because they were supposed to be harder because they were derived from arcades, and arcades are meant to eat quarters to be hard but addictive, kind of like a wonderful drug. That's why we can't shake the drug here in our 30s. Anyway, I was back to the thing. I think that would be awesome, and it's a pipe dream of mine to like do that with my kid. Start him out on the old stuff, let him grow up, and he will be this like savant Renaissance man, the most
greatest
interesting
gamer
man in the
ever.
world. Oh, duels except video games. This is
greatest
my
gamer
dream
ever.
for my unborn child. I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome, but man, 3 kids, no way, man.
Yeah,
I didn't have time to even think about that.
Yeah,
we were just popping them out one after the other, so I was like, no.
Well, and I've actually thought about this to some extent myself, but thinking about it, because of course I actually started on the 2600 because I'm a little bit older than you guys, but
Oh boy.
2600 and then on to the NES, essentially, and I mean, they use that term NES hard for a reason, and I have a fair number of NES games, and sometimes I'll be like, oh, I really want to play. I mean, Mega Man's a pretty good example, but for instance, I wanted to play Castlevania 1 the other day, and so I put in Castlevania. And oh my God, it is so hard. I mean, it is unbelievably hard. And I know, I mean, part of me knows that some of my reflexes have gotten a little bit worse because, and it's actually time of the day dependent. But I'm pretty good if I play in the morning. Mm-hmm. But by late afternoon, I'm terrible. I mean, I really struggle, by the end of it. And so I think, God, playing games with him, like, is he even going to want to do these things where you fail so many times before you actually
I think that's almost
get
all of
somewhere.
our pipe dreams, though, is hopefully our kids want to play these games that we're collecting. I mean, I really hope, like, my son's going to be like, hey, Dad, you want to go down the basement and go play Super Mario Brothers 3? Oh, my God, that'd be a dream. But I don't know if that's really going to be a real thing.
I'm not sure
I think... yeah, sure, there's a fear there. I think, though, when you look at these games, like Super Mario World, we can say that if anybody doesn't know much about video games, a lot of them have maybe played that one game. They've got a brother who played it. That is a classic game. Okay, it's Super Nintendo. A lot of people consider it one of the top games of all time. Some people say it's the best game of all time. A lot of people put it on their top Mario game. So Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo is a pretty darn perfect game. And to this day, you give a kid a controller with that game, I think they're still going to be mesmerized. Even 20 years from now, when, everything's downloaded, things aren't as tangible, things don't have buttons. I think a game like that will always interest a kid. You just probably need to, I heard this once on a podcast, you need to listen to your kid if they don't like something and if they do like something. Like, Like I know Shane, you like Mega Man. I'm not a huge Mega Man fan, but that's okay because you and I don't play Mega Man every week together. I'll play it every once in a while, something like that. But I think if your kid, they have so many options. If they start to like a game that maybe you're not into, that might make you like it or something like that. I think just like anything in a hobby, I heard this recently, is like if your taste is your taste, and if your kid doesn't like it, maybe they don't like video games at all. Boy, I hope not. Maybe we could trade them in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
that-
GameStop take trade in on that. I don't know.
Yeah. 28 cents.
28 cents. There you go.
Ugh.
That's what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, bringing us back here a little bit to current topics. So one other thing that we wanted to mention, just because this is kind of a big ripple in the gaming world, currently is the announcement of the Nintendo Switch. I mean, I guess we've all known about this for a long time. It was the NX
Yeah.
for forever, but
A couple weeks until it's what their new gaming console, right? That's what's going
well,
on.
kind of.
AK should have been what the Wii U is. That's
Yeah,
why
so
I'm not so excited about
Yeah,
it.
essentially. I know I'm actually very excited about it, but I may have a difference of opinion on this a little bit. But at any rate, it's kind of interesting. I think the way that they released it, just in as much as traditionally it's been at things like E3, the big electronic gaming expo, or some other big media / video gaming industry event at a place. Nintendo, essentially just sort of on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else
Twitter
said,
is
"Hey,
where they released
there's
that first video.
here's the new deal, and here's
There-
a 3-minute or so commercial about it."
They're actually ahead of the times now. Like, usually Nintendo's lacking behind on a lot of things like that, but Nintendo is actually, they're ditching E3. Forget it.
Yeah.
They're not doing it.
So we'll probably go into we're going to go into the Switch. I'm going to call it Stitch probably 100 times. I don't know why. Lilo and Stitch. It's like violent. I don't know why I call it. But anyway, the
Sticks to
Switch,
you?
we're probably going to talk about at length, at nauseum. But like, I think initial thoughts, especially you two guys, I like Nintendo a lot, but you two guys are bigger Nintendo guys than me. Adam, what is your 1-minute take on what you think about this thing?
Well, sort of. I mean, and actually, I regardless of derogative Wii U comments, I'm actually a big Wii U collector, and I really like the Wii U actually, and I really like Nintendo and all the Nintendo properties. I mean, and granted, I'll be the first one to admit that a lot of it is based on nostalgia and things,
Sure.
things that you remember from the past and all those kinds of things. But I actually was pretty jonesed up about it. Like, the video was really neat, and it looked like it's something fun. And as an aside, I love handheld games. I love playing games on the go. I like playing them outside. I like playing them on vacation. And so I've always been a big fan of handheld games. And this particular device, the Switch, looks great because you can there's a dock that goes straight to your TV, so you can be playing on your handheld, pop it onto the TV.
I was going to say, try to describe this device if
Sure.
no one has seen it before.
Yeah. So at any rate, it's essentially a tablet with button controllers. So it's like an iPad that you can actually have some tactile feedback and
Nice.
actually play.
Yeah.
But it also interfaces with your television. So you could pick it up, take it with you, play it like a handheld, play it like you would an iPad, except superior to an iPad.
Like a 2-in-1 device. is
Essentially,
kinda what I got.
yeah. So it's both a home console and a console that you can take with you, basically at the flip of a switch.
Yeah. Now, realistically,
Zing!
realistically, that thing is going to be stuck in the dock if I own that. I would probably, let's say I own it. I mean, for me,
See,
in my
you say
life,
that, but then
I
we were
think-
just at Portland Retro Gaming. You would have
Yeah.
took that with you, and we would have had a LAN party. It would
I
have
know.
been freaking awesome.
We need to talk about
You
it.
say that, man.
Yeah. So you just meant. So we'll talk. I'm excited to talk about that in a future episode. We'll have to do that soon. Shane and I, two of the threesome of us. Oh boy, I shouldn't call us a threesome. Probably the trio. There we go.
There you go, trio.
That's much
A lot
better.
better,
We
a
should
lot better.
leave that in
Yeah,
because that's still not the bad word saying threesome. The threesome's anything. It's a trio. Anyway, the two of us, Shane and myself, and unfortunately Adam, we can do due to conflicts. With his job, I know
Loser.
we don't want to bring it. He's like, "Great, you guys are gonna talk about that some more."
Still
It was
talking
fun.
about it, eh?
So we ended up going. Somehow, our wives let us do this. We planned this a long time ago. We were excited about it. The Portland Retro Gaming Expo. We went on a little trip, and we'll talk about that in the future. We both got really good stuff. We had fun. Shane's longest time away from his kids, which
Yeah.
was an adventure in of itself. You kind of were not used to going in an airport and having other kids run around. You didn't have to worry about it. It was
Yeah.
pretty cool. So drank a lot of beers, a lot of nerdy. We also had another buddy of mine go with us. So there's 3 of us. We will definitely talk about that in a thing coming up. But yes, we did end up playing some portable games. So I guess, yes, the Nintendo Switch, if that was out, we totally would have brought that with us and
Yeah.
gamed a little bit.
The thing about the Switch is I'm just not quite as excited as Adam is, and I guess Ben's sort of not really excited. Adam's really excited about it.
Pessimistic.
Ben's sort of like on the fence about
Yeah,
it. I'm sort of a little bit higher up than Ben. I just thought my Wii U was going to do this already. I guess I should have looked into it a little bit more,
Yeah.
but I didn't. I just pictured this thing, taking it anywhere, playing games, and I'm good. But they ended up just being, I couldn't even get 10 feet away from the damn thing, you know? It was like, man. But it looks good. It looks fun. I mean, it's great to be back at like cartridges, sort of. I guess
Yeah,
like
so
cartridges
it
where they
uses-
SD cards.
It's actually one of the things I'm most excited about.
Yeah, that's
with it.
really cool, man.
Yeah.
See, that's funny. You guys like SD cards. I think they're stupid for games. That's just me.
No.
I mean, I love cartridges,
way.
so I had the old Game Boy, right? So the Game Boy looks like a big, stupid postage stamp. And then the Game Boy Advance, which, spoiler alert, probably right up there with one of my favorite systems ever.
That's great.
That is like a half version of that. And then all of a sudden they made them start looking like itty-bitty little thumbtack memory cards, little actual postage stamps. Like that was not... I don't know. It's weird, right? It doesn't really matter because when you pop them in, they play.
They
but I don't
play.
know, just collecting them. They just
Yeah. They don't
look
have the
like
wow factor.
Yeah, they look like stickers. They look so fragile. I like.
They didn't
something
have
about-
cardboard either. Their boxes didn't have cardboard. We
When I
love
was-
the cardboard, man.
When I was a kid, I remember seeing a Game Boy game, and even my mom was like, "Oh, that's like a mini version of your Nintendo." And I was like, "Yeah." And they look like a cartridge.
Yeah.
And I know things get smaller, technology gets smaller, and I'm weird, but I'll always say those little memory card games are stupid, so I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah, well, I think that the form factor is going to be similar to what the DS and 3DS was. I think for the cartridges, at least what they showed in the video. Yeah, if you hate little cartridges, then the Vita is the system for you
I know.
because
I don't
they are tiny.
Yeah.
They're like the size of a penny, and you can lose them just incredibly easily.
Like any good collector, I own Vita games, but I don't own the system yet. Yeah.
Well, if you get a PlayStation TV, you just play them on your television.
That's true. I could do that. Yeah. Of all the things, you're you the only one that owns a PlayStation TV.
I do have a PlayStation
and you
TV.
don't have one, Shane?
No,
thought
I don't
about
have
it when they
that,
were coming
no.
out. Do you use it?
I do actually, yeah. I'm a little bit disappointed with the PS4 integration. So I bought it basically so that I can have a single PS4 and play it on a different TV in the house, just streaming, and it works okay. But every now and then it gets pretty laggy, and sometimes there's connection issues. So and I don't know if it's just because there's not enough memory in the thing, and I don't think it's my in-house internet connection is a pretty strong connection. So if I can't do it, I'm not sure who would be able to.
Yeah.
So I'm.
And it's basically like a Roku box that lets you play a portable game on your TV, which is the PS Vita. So it sounds cool on paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Vita's pretty neat. I mean, I like the Vita just as an aside, but I don't like it as much as the 3DS. Sorry, but I do like it and I do play it. And when I do go on vacation, I usually take both with me.
I need to get one. Eventually, I think I'll get one.
Well, that's where hopefully the Switch is going to make it to where it's not going to be lagging. It's not going to be doing all that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
right? I mean, I don't know. The thing is, there's not specs out, so I'm not as pumped either.
Yeah.
Until I see the specs.
Well, actually,
Man,
no.
yeah.
Actually, they did release something. They said what the main CPU, the main chip, is going to be, and it seemed like reasonably powerful from
What
what
are
they
they saying,
said.
like
Yeah, it's
PS3,
here's-
PS4?
Yeah, we're all nerds, but I am definitely not a techie nerd. They're basically saying it's around there.
Around
right? It's
there, riding
PS3,
the sweet middle.
Yeah, PS4 ish, but it's
handle that.
The chip was enough that I know other people on the internet who know that kind of stuff were not getting super discouraged by it. So that's enough for a barometer for me to know that it's not because if all of a sudden people were freaking out and saying it's terrible, that would at least let me know that something's up. But some people were pretty optimistically excited about what it maybe has to offer.
Yeah, and I'll be the typical Nintendo fanboy that I am, but
Tender
And,
fanboy.
and this is from years of brainwashing, but it's not all about the power, guys.
Yeah.
Like some of the I actually think some of the better games of this generation are Wii U games.
I'm with you on that.
And I actually think that some of the Wii U games, depending, I mean, and there are some games just like any system that are garbage, but like Pikmin 3, beautiful game. Mario Kart 8, beautiful
Yeah,
game.
that's
Like there
good.
are some
Yeah.
really good looking games on the Wii U there's something, and I'm not sure how Nintendo does it, but they'll have this underpowered piece of hardware,
Sure.
but they just wring every last ounce of processor out of the thing
Yeah.
and get it to do things that you don't think it would be able to do. I mean, look at the change from the black box games on NES to Mario 3, for instance. I mean,
Yeah.
or the Mega Man games or whatever. I mean, you wouldn't have thought initially any of that stuff ever would have been possible. I guess Mega Man's a bad example, being that's not Nintendo, but you kind of get
Yeah.
my point.
Yeah.
It's like there's something about them that they're just able to squeeze all this extra juice out of their hardware.
Yeah.
That it doesn't seem like the other people can do as well. And I mean, granted, you can see a difference between first generation PS3 games and last generation.
Yeah.
But that jump is, I think, less than what you saw on previous consoles.
Yeah.
See, and also, okay, so my rebuttal to that would be you're talking about games that have a cartoonistic animation feel to them. Okay, I'm just saying, take Mario Kart and let's take on the Uncharted franchise about realism. I think they do what they do well because they have this kind of Disney polish to them, if you know what I mean. Like if you've ever been to a Disney park, you know that there's so much like behind the scenes taken care of. There's no trash cans anywhere, or the trash cans never get emptied. Nothing overflows because there's like this conveyor belt that takes your trash everywhere that you don't get to see. Everybody's super like happy all the time. The characters never break character.
Yeah.
Okay, so the characters that go around the park, my wife and I, quick story, a few years ago, went to Disney World, and I swear, just because I was old enough, I really tried to have some of those characters break character. Like there's a Mad Hatter guy, and he
Yeah.
wasn't in a whole suit. He was like, looked like me, but had real cool makeup on. So I was like, oh man. And this guy, you could tell, was just normal dude. But I swear, as much as I tried to make him break character, he would not do it. So
Really?
there's this level of, they make sure your experience is as good as it can be for what you're trying to do. If you're not into Disney, fine, but you at least know what I'm talking about. And I do agree, Nintendo does a really good job of what they're trying to do. But if they were trying to do what the other guys did, like if they did, Uncharted 4, this last game I played, that is one of the best looking games I have ever seen. It's just so good. I was constantly like taking pictures. There's a photo mode in there to take pictures of everything. So I agree, but I think it's kind of apples and oranges. I think Nintendo does
that's
their
true.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nintendo does their thing, and the other guys do their thing. We're
That's-
talking like Sony, Microsoft, and I'm happy there's enough audience out there to actually buy these different types of systems.
Yeah.
But Nintendo, if they didn't have their first party titles,
Yeah, they would be gone.
yeah.
They would definitely be
Yeah,
gone.
but so everyone kind of, where I'm at on the Switch. I'm kind of like in between you guys. I saw the initial video. I thought it was
Yeah, we shall see. It's either going to fall flat or it will sell a gazillion copies.
Yeah.
I actually think that it's going to be on the gazillion.
I think it's going to
side,
do pretty well.
but yeah,
I think it's going to do pretty well.
But I think it just has too much mass market appeal, and I think it's something especially kids get where it's just like, oh, there's this thing and I can take it and I can
Yeah.
do stuff, and I think it's just going to sell like hotcakes.
Nintendo
but-
will always be Nintendo. I'm just glad they actually named it something different.
Well, that's nice.
The
Not
Wii-
not the Wii U.
Wii U.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be the Wii U us,
Oh,
the
boy.
Wii U they.
Oh, boy.
I don't know what they were thinking. It was funny that one of the first times someone talked about the Wii, it's like, are you required to play it with someone else? Is that why they called it the Wii? But anyway, I always thought they should call the Wii U the Super Wii, like the Super NES. But I digress. At
All
least
right.
it's something different, and you get what it says. So
Yeah, sure.
yeah. What's the next thing?
So yeah, to keep it on the Nintendo track, we're going to talk briefly about the Classic Edition NES, and that releases very soon. Actually,
Yeah.
here in just a couple of days. Actually,
Yeah, 2 days actually
But-
from when we're recording.
I don't know. I'm actually fairly excited about it, mostly because it's cheap and kind of cool, and I really dig the box. I actually just want the box. I think
Yeah.
as much as anything
I love
else.
Yeah.
the
So what
box,
is this? This
man.
thing's kind of like a mini NES. Would you say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's essentially a restyled, slimmed down, smaller version of an NES with ultra short controller cords, which are going to
Ultra
be a
short.
pain.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Hey, I did see that they were making extensions for it.
Yeah, Hyperkin
And-
actually is
and-
making those.
Oh,
yeah.
Hyperkin is.
Yeah.
And I actually seen there have wireless controllers that are being made also.
Yep.
Oh, I did not see the wireless controllers,
Yep,
but
yep.
but essentially it's a mini NES with internal memory that has 30 built-in preloaded games, and the games are actually pretty good games as far as what was available
Yeah.
on the NES. It's a good smattering of things from the system.
Yeah, they nailed the list.
So like a
pretty
Play
well.
TV thing, like we've all seen probably the last 15 years, you've had those little plug and plays, right? Actually,
Yeah.
this is a plug and play, really, but it's a really well done one.
Yes, very
plug
well
and play
done,
meaning
yeah.
you buy the thing, you're done. You
Yep.
can't add anything to it.
Yeah.
It's really cute. It looks like a mini NES. I think would you say it comes with one controller? You can buy another one for $10. The 30 games on there, I don't have a list, but they're good.
Yeah, they're solid. It's a solid line.
That is one I'm excited for, like my kid to play in the future. Your
That-
kids are going to be able to play.
Yeah, that's what I'm buying
And
my
if
kids
they-
for Christmas.
If they break it, it's going to be
Yeah,
fine.
$60. Oh,
Not a
well.
big deal.
Yeah.
Might be a little hard to find.
Yeah.
Are you pulling up a list of what?
Well, I'm trying to, but
yeah, no, it's okay.
Well,
I
my brother works at GameStop, and he, from reports that he heard, has heard he's getting around 10 to 12 for his store, and that's basically going to be everybody's store, mattering size. It doesn't even matter 10 to 12. So, scalper alert! It's going to get scalped
Yeah,
at that
and-
point. But with that said, though, hopefully Amazon gets a bunch.
Hopefully. That is a little disappointing. When this thing first came out, which it was announced a long time ago, people were excited about it. Like,
Oh, yeah,
And
even-
when I say people, I mean like layman people.
Yeah,
like
my
every-
mom
yeah,
was
I
calling me
heard
up like,
people at
"Hey,
work
Shane, you
talking
gonna get
about
this
it,
new
yeah.
Nintendo?"
Yeah.
It's like, no, I already got the games.
I think
but-
the shape, okay, so the shape of the Nintendo, everybody knows.
Yeah.
Everybody within a certain age, 40, 50, because our parents know what that thing looks like. So Nintendo, smarter than heck to put this thing out kind of finely, right? Actually, people have been asking for this and
Yeah.
then some, right? You kind of want them to do this for all their systems. But this was something that I remember I was in a video game store about a week or so after it released, and this lady came in, and she just looked like average Joe lady, 55 years old, didn't look like she belonged in a video game store, not because she wouldn't welcome, but just because,
Yeah.
she's not and she was asking about it. When would they come in? The store manager said, "Oh yeah, we'll definitely have some in." I mean, he didn't know.
Yeah.
But this is something that normal people are going to get excited about. Normal people, everybody's going to get excited about. Kind of curious what it does to get like new collectors into the game. Maybe
That's what I'm sort of wondering if it's going to hurt retro market or not. I think it'll actually just sort of.
I don't think so. Virtual Console hasn't hurt it. I think if anything, it's just going
Yeah.
to make everything more expensive.
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like what you do. It's kind of like the price of gold or whatever. People say, oh, well, it's peaked out, and then the bubble's going to burst, and it just seems like every year NES games just get more and more and more expensive. But
Yeah, well, this is what average Joe is going to buy this thing. Average Joe that maybe heard of this, had an older brother who played it, maybe used to play it. He's going to play it, realize like, oh, this is Tecmo Bowl, but it's not Tecmo Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll buy that or something. They'll look online
Yeah.
and see that Tecmo Super Bowl costs half as much as this whole thing, and that's going to turn them off. Or maybe another game on there. They saw Mega Man, they'll look up another Mega Man.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to go like, oh, these are expensive, let me get in this. They're probably going to be like, oh, not for me.
Yeah.
You know?
maybe. I mean, the one thing about this, and I have old regular NES, but I also have a Retron 5, which does save states, and you can change the filters and put cheats on your games and all that kind of thing. So I'd be lying if I said that occasionally when I'm replaying games, I don't cheat my way through them and use save states and all that kind of
Yeah.
thing, especially the harder games. But one of the biggest thing about this, as far as the play experience goes, and I can speak to this on 3DS Virtual Console as well, as you can save state things, and so on your Mega Man games or Castlevania or Ninja Gaiden or one of these games, it's like just really difficult. You can just save state the heck out of it, and I actually think that to modern gamers, especially people who are being introduced to these old games, like
Yeah.
those save states are just money. It makes these things a lot more
Yeah.
palatable for people who don't
Yeah.
aren't having experienced that. It takes away this huge learning curve, and the people who aren't used to failing a million times before they before
they won't know
actually
what they're
succeed at
missing. I
these
bet you honestly, thinking about that, they will probably just assume that those save states are there, and people like us will be like, "Oh, you don't know how
Yeah,
good
you don't know
have
how
it."
hard you don't-
They're
yeah.
gonna be like, "Oh, I only have 4 save states," you know.
Yeah, no, seriously, I've actually seen that as a knock on the system,
Oh,
and
my God.
I can't remember how many save states it has exactly.
I think
People
it
are
is
like, oh,
4. I think
it only
it's
has
4.
4 save states per game, and
per
I'm
game,
like,
yeah.
yeah, that's a whole lot better than the none,
None,
that
yeah.
we had. And oh, by the way, when you died, you had to go back to the beginning.
Did you guys? Of course, you did
Or
this.
type in that crappy code or
you
something
would
like
leave
that,
it on.
yeah.
I remember leaving my Nintendo on, the red button on, and no moving parts in that thing. It was somewhat get warm. I would leave it on and then like turn it back on the next day to start. That's what we used to do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's probably enough about the classic edition NES, and I'm sure that one of us or all of us will end up with it at some point. So we'll talk about
Yeah,
that
no,
more
I'm
in the
definitely-
future. Well, and
Yeah,
if
I'll
we
probably
can
end up
if we
giving
can
it.
find it, that is, I think that's going to be the the determining factor here. As far as we kind of wanted to talk about collecting and sort of what we're into, at the moment. So Shane, why don't you tell us what you've been doing here lately, or what you've been trying to acquire? What have you been trying to track down?
Well, I've been sort of different than you guys. I don't actually seek. I just sort of scan the Craigslist, or I go to some garage sales and stuff like that. So my collecting sometimes I really don't have much input sometimes, because it's like, oh, I didn't get nothing this week, or it's, oh, I just got Dr. Mario, or it's something I already have. But what did I recently pick up? What did I pick up at Portland Retro? That's what the recent games I
You
got.
got that
Leisure Suit Larry,
Yeah,
yeah,
Leisure Suit,
repo cart. That was the
yeah.
first time I've ever gotten a repro cart, and
And you got that like late in like that was the
or
last
sorry,
couple,
homebrew cart.
that
Yeah,
was the
that's
last
my
couple of hours. Of the
last
show
couple
you got
hours. Yeah,
that,
I was being really cheap. You'll come to find out I'm really cheap. Like,
No,
super
You
cheap.
just say I keep telling you thrifty. is
Thrifty.
what you call
Okay,
it.
that's what I should say.
Cheap is
Okay.
like smarmy.
Picked that up. Picked up. I like boxes, so at PRG, I picked up a big box, Pokemon Stadium, and Hey You Pikachu, both for $5. Both pretty good boxes, clean. Already have the game, so that was pretty awesome to complete those.
Yeah, and those are just oversized Nintendo 64 boxes, not
Yeah.
just, but and I carried them in my luggage for
Yeah,
you so
you
they
did.
would not get crushed.
Actually, when I got back from when we got back,
Yeah.
I scanned on OfferUp, and I found a Super Nintendo Miracle Piano and a Super Nintendo in box, both pretty nice, clean. I mean, systems are super clean, but I found both of those for $100. Man, super happy to have those in my collection. But I'm really sparse on my collection. Like you guys have seen my collection,
that
it's
was-
really everywhere.
Weren't there some issues with the person that you bought the Miracle
Oh
Piano
boy!
from?
Oh
Well,
boy.
first tell like for people that don't know, I mean, the Miracle Piano was like kind of an accessory teaching tool.
Yeah,
for
teaching
the
tool,
NES,
yeah.
but it was an actual piano. So
Yeah,
when
they
you're
made
saying-
it for NES. They made it for Super Nintendo. They made it for the Amiga,
Macintosh
and
as
Macintosh,
one, yeah.
and I
Someone
think
who
that's
actually
it.
plays piano.
Yeah, I think maybe there
should
was a DOS
frickin'
version too, I'm
check
not
that
sure.
thing out. I haven't. You guys both have one, don't you?
Yeah, I have the NES.
I need to play it. And is there a way? I actually should play that because I can play piano.
Oh, can you? Yeah,
I
you gotta
can.
borrow
I
mine
took-
sometime then,
I
man.
took 4
Yeah.
dang semesters of it in college that I don't use for anything in my life. I might as well use it for this Miracle Piano.
Yeah, I
thing
look
that
like
you
a
guys
monkey
love.
on a computer, like playing that thing. Like,
How much? Okay, so you said you got it for $100.
Yeah.
How much is that thing worth?
yeah, I don't know, roughly.
Roughly.
It's 170, 150, 175 for the
Yes.
Miracle Piano. Probably 125, 150 range for the Super Nintendo.
Wow. So you got it for basically like a third of the
Yeah, a
cost.
third of the price. But
Yeah.
the kicker is on this thing, the lady, after I got it, she contacts me and said, hey, my boyfriend really wants that back, didn't really want to sell it.
After you bought it and took it home.
After I bought it, took it home and put it on the shelf where it goes to die. But so she offered me $200, and I was like, no, I really want this for my collection. It's going to stay with me. I'm not reselling it. It's for my collection. Well, I think he really wants it back. I'm like, well, I can't do it. She tells me that she's going to call the cops on me.
So she went from that to cops.
Yeah, that to cops just instantly. Like, I'm gonna call the cops. It's stolen property. They're coming to your house. I'm like, well, let them bring it. I
So
don't know.
obviously, what happened was she sold something a little bit less than what it's not crazy.
Yeah, she found out
It's
that
not
it was
like
less.
You bought
yeah.
it for 10 cents or you offered 10 cents. I mean, you paid $100. That's a good amount
Yeah,
of money
that's
for
what
this thing.
yeah.
And obviously, like, that was quite the deal.
Yeah.
And most people would be happy, but she probably realized this, right?
Yeah.
Or she had someone else go in, like Adam probably did that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah,
called
you
her
blew
and
the
told
whistle
her
on me,
how
didn't you?
This thing's
Didn't
worth
you?
thousands of dollars. I'll
Yeah.
give you this.
That's the whole thing. She found out that it was worth more, and it is what it is. When you name your price, I'm sorry, I'm gonna give you the price you want.
yeah.
If it's a good deal, I'm not gonna beat you up more. Actually, she wanted 135. I beat her down to 100. But sorry.
Yeah.
But with that said, though, if I roll up on a garage sale and I see little Samson for hell, they want $50 to $75, I'm straight giving that to them. I'm not gonna argue or beat them down. It just depends, though. But it's just one of those things.
So tell you didn't finish. Did she call the cops on you?
Well, she says she did, but I blocked her on OfferUp, so I don't know exactly what came about it.
Did
Yeah,
she
I
have
don't-
Did she have anything?
No, she didn't have anything. I just picked it up from her.
And
so.
what would the cops say?
I
Quit
don't even
wasting
know.
my time.
That's yeah,
Give her a
exactly.
citation, and
Have-
she didn't. I mean, she was out. She felt scammed, yet she was the one selling it.
Yeah,
to you.
man, she named the price.
So
it's not like I'm
that's-
scamming people out here.
Yeah, so that's the price you pay, I guess, to get a deal.
Yeah,
like this one.
there's some shifty. I'll tell a quick story here, and I probably shouldn't tell this, but you have a video game buying problem when you've done something I did recently. So I found a long box PS1 Resident Evil, which I've actually been
yeah.
looking for a while, and again, it was on OfferUp, which apparently seems to be the fountain of all things bad.
Yeah.
But at any rate, so I contacted this woman and said, hey, I'd really like to have that. And she says, hey, can you meet me at this address? And I was like, sure, public place or whatever. She's like, oh yeah, just meet me at this place. So I said, sure, and then we set up a meeting time and everything else. And so I drive down the road and I have my wife and my 3-year-old child with me, and we're driving down the road, and this address happens to be a gentleman's club.
Oh, boy.
So we roll up on this place. So I actually bought. We didn't go into the gentleman's club, but I actually bought a game in the parking lot of a gentleman's club from who I think was some of the talent.
Oh boy.
Hey,
Hey.
So that's you have a little bit of a problem when you're picking up games.
and
in
what was
strip
the
clubs.
game? What was the game you bought from this
a long-
lady of the night?
A long box.
Resident Evil.
Resident
That's
Evil
right.
for
Actually,
PS1.
that's a cool game to buy from a stripper. Yeah, honestly, yeah.
I don't even
Did
know what
it
to say
smell
to that. That's
like
that's,
lotion and glitter?
No, it smelled more like cigarettes actually.
yeah. Did you have to clean the glitter off on the inside?
Oh,
No,
No.
That's kind of funny because I mean, you'd think she's making enough money doing her good service or whatever.
It wasn't the nicest of establishments.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I
see.
don't think that
I
they
see.
were.
What time of day was it?
It was actually like early afternoon. Like,
Oh yeah,
maybe-
she's
maybe-
B team. She's not A team. She's,
Oh.
she's not even working night. Yeah.
See, I'm happy
No.
to say I don't know what the different. I don't know anything about
Yeah,
whatever.
Shane,
I had a bachelor party. That was about it. Evidently, Shane has a member's card.
We'll just keep it quiet. Okay. What have you been
man.
collecting, Ben?
Let's see. Oh, recently. So oh gosh, you'll find as I collect really weird things. So like I collect PSP movie discs. Why? Because there's a lot of them. It's technically a video game, and no one else is kind of collecting. There's actually a group of people who collect PSP UMDs, as they're called, and there's some that are rare, just like anything else. So I tend to collect things off the beaten path. So you'll never see me going for like Super NES and Nintendo and stuff like that now, because I collected all that honestly like 10 years ago, at least what I wanted. So I have been collecting PS3 import games. So PlayStation 3, for those who don't know, it's region free, the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4, and I believe the Vita. Do you guys
That's
know?
correct, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and the PSP too, actually. Yeah. So the PSP even, but a lot of their games are in Japanese, so you can't. More are in Japanese than our region exclusives available for PS3. So PS3 has a huge library, over 1,200 games, which I would never try to complete. And their region exclusives are there's a ton of them. So I can't remember all the ones I bought recently. I bought some in Portland.
Yeah.
I bought like 10 of them in Portland. I got Resident Evil HD, which is a region exclusive. I'm probably up to like maybe 20 region exclusives. I'll have to like go through them and
Yeah,
display
you bought a
them.
lot.
Yeah, I did. Out of the
You're
three
going
of us,
crazy that first day. I
out
was
of
like,
the
oh
three
boy.
of us guys, I definitely bought the most stuff. I mean, actually, and what I can do is when Adam's going through his pickups, I can go back and look at my picture and see what I actually picked up. Actually, no. So what? The other thing I picked up from Portland, probably more important than games, not just games. I picked up some art. The original artist. Did I tell you about this, Adam? Did I show you pictures?
You sent me pictures. I don't know the story.
So, John Erickson is his name. Mark Erickson. Yeah, I remembered his name. I kept calling it Eric Markson. Mark Erickson is an illustrator of many of the old original illustrations of video game box arts, including a lot of Nintendo games. Probably one of the most prolific, yeah, is Mega Man 2. So Mega Man 2 for the NES, for those that don't know the story, the cover of it has Mega Man holding a gun and shooting it, like a physical gun. And in the game, he does not have that. So the funny story is this really good illustrator would get the synopsis of the game and maybe a screenshot of the game, but he wouldn't get any actual gameplay to see what's going on. So sometimes he would get things wrong, and this is Bing Bang Boom time, late 80s, where you'd have to get the, or early 80s, I guess, have to get the illustration out, had to be printed, and, now it looks super silly, but, he takes it in stride, and it's one of his best sellers. So he's there, he's probably going on 70 years old, there with his wife, me and my other friend, Chris, we call him Turok because that's his last name, like Turok Dinosaur Hunter. We ended up chatting him up. He's a super gracious, nice guy. I only bought one print from him. I brought the, is it Tengen or Tenjin?
It's like tomato, I think.
Okay.
I've heard a
You're
lot of
good
people
either
say
way.
it both ways.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Tenjin was, they made a certain amount of NES games. He did the Tetris cover, and I don't know about you guys, I love Tetris. So I bought it from him, had him illustrate it because the cover of the Tetris game actually has like the Kremlin on the cover.
Yeah.
So then after I was buying it, I kind of realized like, oh, I'm going to put this up and frame it, and people are just going to think I love Mother Russia. But you can see little Tetris pieces around it, and Mark Erickson was gracious enough to write on it. I got him to write. You told me what to write, right, Shane? Do you remember what it was?
No, that was Turok.
Oh, it was Turok? Oh,
Yeah, I was playing Halo, so.
So I had him write on there, "Don't trust the KGB, this is Tetris." And he wrote on the actual print, which felt like I was telling him to tattoo his own child. Because at first he said, "Oh yeah, we'll write whatever on there." And then when I was going to have him write, he's like, "Do you want me to write actually on the print?" And even his wife was like, "You're writing on the print?" And then they were both like, "Oh, well, whatever you want." And so I felt, "Oh, is this okay?" Or whatever. So they ended up writing it. They were really nice. I got, it was not very, I think it was $30 for this print, and it is a very good looking print. And that was
That thing is really
one
nice.
of the best things I got from there. I got a whole bunch of other stuff I could probably talk about later.
I just have this mental image of you buying this from him, and then it's sort of like I've put all of this work into this, and, then,
Well, it's a print.
and now you want me to deface my own
It's funny.
creation.
It's like it's literally a print. So it was like, yeah, if it was an original, I obviously don't write
Yeah.
on the thing. But I thought it was a way to make it personalized. I think it's funny, and then that way when people see it, I can be like, oh no, it's a video game. But anyway, so. I did pick up some other games. I could go into the other stuff I bought, I guess, when we talk about Portland, maybe next time or maybe in another episode. But basically, that's what I'm collecting right now. Import PS3 games, which there's a little community out there that there's not the few, the proud, and some other random stuff from Portland. GBA games. That's kind of it. And then of course the PlayStation VR, which we already talked about. That has been the extent of what I've been collecting recently. What about you, Adam?
All right, so here lately PSVR, although I haven't really bought any add-on games aside from what was in the starter launch bundle.
Which we should let each other borrow. Obviously, I've got a bunch. We should trade. You want to play? I should have brought them tonight.
I really would like to play the Batman game actually.
I should have borrowed that Rush of Blood.
Okay, so yeah, Batman is a great game. You guys should both play it. I did finally play through the whole thing, and I don't know if you guys have seen it. It'll the guy who played it, who I watched play, is at the end he got big goosebumps because they do some trippy stuff in that game.
Yeah.
So I do want you guys to play it. and then tell me what you guys think about it. So next time I'll definitely bring it. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so as far as so the thing that I've been doing lately is, so the Wii U is at the end of its life and it's kind of, having its last few breaths,
Yeah.
hooked up to a bunch of machines.
Dying dog.
It is, and but if you actually search around right now, you can get some dirt cheap Wii U games online, and so I've actually been
Yeah.
buying brand new sealed Wii U games, a lot of them, for like $10 a piece, a bunch of them, and so I've kind of gone a little bit bananas with Wii U, and I've also bought all the box sets here over the last few months, and I'm slowly trying to play through them. I mean, I still have several sealed games, and then some of the games that are rare for it, I've gone ahead and picked up because I found them for really cheap. Things like
And you're going for the complete collection.
yeah, I think so. I think at this point, I pretty much have most of it anyways. I think I'm setting somewhere around 100 games right now.
In total, there are.
I'm not sure. I've
Okay.
been online
It's still
and kind of
counting.
looked
There's
around.
still,
Yeah,
there's still a
obviously,
bunch
right,
of
yeah.
scum.
there's
coming
still
out,
there's
yeah.
still some things coming out, and I've actually, the things that are coming out, I pretty much have pre-ordered all of them so that
Nice.
I get those too. And like I got Tumblestone the other day, and I'm sure that'll end up being rare just because who the heck's going to buy that new game right now?
Yeah, no, you sent
And-
that to me. Yeah, yeah.
And there's a Shantae coming out. I have it pre-ordered. There's a Steam World Dig, or it's a Steam World collection. It's like Steam World Dig, Steam World Heist, and I think there's a third one that are on the disc. I have that all pre-ordered. I'm sure nobody will buy that.
Don't forget the Zelda.
Oh yeah, of course. There's Breath of the Wild and all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that one. That it'll be kind of like the GameCube version of Twilight
Yeah,
Princess.
that's what I'm thinking,
It'll
too.
end up being available and findable, but not as common as its counterpart on the
Yeah.
newer console. So I've been really into collecting the Wii U here lately, just because that's what the market is sort of dictating, and it's really nice to be able to buy brand new games that are still sealed in the wrappers and look pretty for $10 a piece. So I've kind of been doing that, and then try to get the things I know won't be available on down the road. And I don't have any complete collections, but it's such a small library. I thought, heck, if I'm ever going to do one right now, it'd be the time to get started on it. So I'm kind of doing that currently. I also manned up and ordered a Neo Geo Omega MVS conversion.
Yeah,
So
so talk about that, because
so
every time
jelly.
you're sending me Neo Geo
Oh,
stuff.
I'm all about.
Yeah,
I'm,
you're probably just sitting there, just like, geez.
No, well, I just
just
actually, I
quit.
don't. Okay, so here, this is a good
I am
quick
way
chance.
excited about this thing.
Yeah,
actually.
to tell me about, because here's what I know about the Neo Geo. It's an arcade. It's also a home console. It's really expensive. All the games are really expensive. The games look really cool because they're big and blocky. This is the extent of my knowledge of Neo Geo. So what did you buy?
So the Neo Geo, in simple terms, I guess, is, so there's the console, which is the AES, Advanced Entertainment System, and then there's the thing that you saw in the arcade, and that's the MVS, the Multi Video System.
Okay.
And so there's essentially they're kind of the same thing, except one's the home version and one's the arcade version. Now in those cabinets, I don't know if you can remember from when you were a kid, they're a big stand-up cabinet, and they made machines they'd have 4 marquees on top, and so you'd walk up and you'd hit a button and it'd be Samurai Showdown, you'd hit the button again and then it would be Metal Slug, and then you'd hit another button and it might be Shock Troopers, and then you hit the button again and it'd be a 4th game. So
Windjammers.
Windjammers.
yeah. So at any rate, those machines actually had 4 cartridges inside of them, 4 cartridge slots, and the people who own the arcade or own the machine could buy those new cartridges, put a little new marquee up on their system, and then get new players, potentially on that machine because they bought a new game for it. So, but
Instead
even
of switching out the cabinet.
yeah, exactly. But even some of the cabinets that were dedicated, or it's like a Samurai Showdown cabinet, it still had a single slot MVS board inside of it, so it still took a cartridge,
Yeah.
and you can still convert those single slots to a different game. So at any rate, what an Omega is, and there are other versions of the same thing, is essentially it's one of these boards from an MVS unit taken out, put in a home console, and there's new outputs, I guess essentially soldered onto the board with TV outputs. So you can put SCART on it. You can put I bought the RGB cables for it, and play it on your home television. The cool thing about it, so Neo Geo is really expensive, but
Yeah.
the MVS, the arcade carts are actually more common and easier to come by than the home console carts are. So the home console carts, just in general, are really rare and very, very expensive.
Super expensive.
And the MVS carts can also be pretty expensive too, but they're more plentiful, they're more easy to come by, and so you can still get those. Generally easier than you can the AES. Also, there's a lot of I don't know if bootleg is the right word, but there are carts that you can buy that are multi-carts. So there's a 121 game multi-cart that has most of the Neo Geo library on it. There's also a 161 game multi-cart that has a bunch of Neo Geo games on it. It's got like maybe 2/3 of the library.
But do they play well?
Yeah. So I mean, there are little issues with some of them from what I've read. I've obviously not played them yet. So sometimes I have a little audio issue, or they may have a little video issue. But the cool thing about those carts are A, you can get things relatively cheaply, and then B, if you're playing those carts, you're actually playing the original ROM through the original hardware. So it's not quote unquote emulation, it's not true 1-to-1 hardware and that sort of thing. But at the same time, you're still playing it through the original hardware, so you're not really emulating either. So I've been kind of trying to pick up a few MVS carts, the ones that aren't really, really expensive. So I've got Samurai Showdown, 3-Count Bout, and Puzzle Bobble, which Puzzle Bobble is a simple game. It's just bust a move, essentially. But I love that game. It's and that's a lot of fun, especially multiplayer. But I'm just really looking forward to getting it. And I've been kind of eyeballing this thing for a while, and I don't have any, or didn't have any Neo Geo till now. But basically, all my good memories from arcade, for the most part, involve either old Konami arcade games or old Neo Geo arcade games. So this is like a really cool thing.
I see. So there's a good amount of nostalgia.
Well, yeah, in general, and so I at any rate of that, and the whole Neo Geo art style and everything else is just super cool. I mean, they're all sprite based games, and I'm kind of a sucker for all that stuff. So
Baseball Stars 2, I will say, I used to play the snot out of that, and I just remembered Neo Geo mainly from that. Of course, Metal Slug, I think, but I remember that baseball game was so good back in the day where there was nothing quite like that. So yeah, the Neo Geo is quality, but as you said, that sucker is expensive. But
you're the creme de la creme of collector over there. We're not worthy over here.
No, I don't know about that. I am going to play it to death, I think, once I get it. But and then as far as other pickups go, like Shane actually hooked me up here recently because he's always trolling for garage sales and that sort of thing. So I get this text message. There's a Chrono Trigger, just south of you or whatever, and so it's some garage sale, and so I actually drove down to it and I picked up Chrono Trigger for $20, I think, and I for the Super Nintendo, and I which I think it's up to somewhere around 120-ish, 125-ish dollars or so retail right now.
What kind of game is it again?
It's a Super Nintendo game. It's a Square
RPG.
Squaresoft RPG.
RPG type
Okay.
game.
According to some, the greatest RPG ever. I'm not sure about that. That's quite a statement. But a lot of people, it's their top RPG.
All right.
And I have played it before, but I played the DS version on the DS. But anyway, it's a really good game, and so I was really happy to get that because I didn't have it. And they also had a copy of Zombies Ate My Neighbors, which I got for like $10. And that's also a really good pickup. I think that game's going for like $40 now or something. So
good.
So I was really happy to get it, although it kind of looked like somebody had pooped on that cartridge. So so I had to get out the Windex and clean it up, but it actually cleaned up pretty nicely. So but I was really happy to get both of those. Unfortunately, Shane did get them. And the other cool thing I got at that garage sale, which now I'm thinking about it, was they actually had an original Pong console, the kind you plug into your TV. It doesn't have the detachable paddles. Like, you literally, two people have to set over the top of this little box and turn the paddles, fighting each other. According to the guy it works, I haven't plugged it in. It's got one of those weird pre-1980
like
doohickey
hookups where you have to
and-
like screw it down. And
No,
stuff
it's a prong looking thing. Well, I'll show it to you, but I've got to figure out what I can hook that thing to actually get it to work.
Those Pong things are pretty cool. So like, who's the maker of it?
It's an Atari. I mean, Now there was an Atari, and then there's a
Hundreds
billion
of others.
knockoffs.
Yeah.
But this is quote unquote Super Pong by the Atari. So it's actually a real Atari version Pong. Legit.
Cool.
It's like the Nike of Pong.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's, and now they just have like now you could still play Pong as like plug and plays I've seen. So really,
Yeah.
Pong is one of the oldest games that anybody could play. Cool.
Yeah.
And how much did you get that for?
$5, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So pretty darn cheap, and it's actually pretty clean. I mean, it's a little bit dusty, but it looks really good. So I was kind of happy to get that too. I've actually had my eye open for or looking for one of those for a while, and I've seen a few of the knockoffs, and there's like the Telestar games, and I seem to see those every so often.
Yeah,
but
I
I
see those a
haven't
lot
I haven't
more.
actually seen a regular just old Atari Pong. So, and I do have a little bit of an Atari collection, so it'll be a nice addition to that.
Our closing statements, I guess,
Yeah,
for this
sure.
first podcast.
I got some kids to put down.
You got some kids to put down. Yeah, I think for a rough little get together, I think this has gone really well.
Yeah.
We're sorry if if it sounds a little weird. We're really trying to do this thing as professional as possible. We didn't talk about this at the beginning, but we've tried to think this through to make this sound as good as it can. We all have heard podcasts that maybe the audio quality is not too great, so we actually got some mixing equipment. Adam's been gracious enough to do some research on microphones and setting all this up.
Yeah.
And we're gonna we have our intro and outro music. We're trying to do that. So even though we're not claiming professionalism, we really want to make this thing sound good no matter what. Just because I honestly can't stand listening to a podcast where there's pops and jabs and it feels like it's going to break my speaker or
Yeah.
anything like that. So,
Blow up.
yeah, appreciate Adam for putting all this kind of stuff together. So far, so good. Feels pretty professional down here. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it's just real happy to be able to do this sort of thing. And like I said, this is something, that we've all kind of been up to for a while, and it's neat kind of to take a first little step off into maybe
Yeah.
potentially a bigger world. And maybe nobody will listen to this, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
But it,
It's nice to just be able to get away from the kids for a little bit and the wife and be able to talk video games at least.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And like I said, it's just sort of a cool hangout thing. And like I said, this thing's going to change a lot. We're going to learn a lot, I think, as we continue to do it. And there's going to be a learning curve to it. So that, the quality of everything's going to end up getting better. We're going to get more comfortable in our skin with, what we're doing and where all of this is going to go. But
This is called episode 0 for a reason. We
Yeah.
might not even put
Stick
this on
with
the
us,
air.
guys.
This might come out, after a couple years after we decide, oh man, this is bad enough we could put out just to see kind of where we started. I mean, some things we want to do in the future we haven't talked about is I think we really are going to do this kind of let's play in terms of we're going to pick a game. I think we'll rotate around. Eventually, we have an email address set up, videogamedads@yahoo.com, where we will take questions. We will answer any kind of thing. Eventually we'd like to get frequent frequent people to come in. We exchange back and forth ideas, but what we'll do is we'll start out just going around picking a favorite game. We'll all try to play it in some sort of capacity and talk about it and give our experiences about it. And then a lot of these will be games that maybe one of us have played before and the others haven't. Maybe it's a game none of us have played before. Maybe it's a game we've all played before and we haven't played in a little while. We'll just kind of have to see how that works. But then that way that gives our listeners a chance to kind of listen along with us. So spoiler alert, I guess, on some of the games that are 20 or 30 years old. But that's one segment we'll really like to do. News updates, kind of like what we did now, going over those kind of segments. Those are kind of things we'll want to talk about. And then, of course, at the end of the day, we're all dads. And as soon as these microphones get off, we're going to have to deal with our responsibilities. So I think it's a nice era to be getting to know video games and having kids get to know video games, and then all of our trials and tribulations of having our kids, of life, and seeing how that works. So I'm excited. You guys are way ahead of me. My kid's not even born yet, and I did find out I'm having a boy, so that's stoked.
Congratulations.
We all have a boy of some sort. You've got 2 girls.
2 girls, 1 boy.
2 girls
Yeah.
and a boy. Adam's got 1 boy, and I have a boy on the way. And I know it's a boy because I saw the the fuzzy video, and the fuzzy video showed little man parts, little man berries there.
Little wang dang.
Yeah. Which, we should say, while we were looking for website domain hosts for our video game dads, we obviously couldn't take .com because someone out there, if you're listening and you have that domain, and we will offer single digits for it. We were trying to look at other ones, like .net's kind of expensive. There's .tv, that's kind of fun, and then there's .wang, W-A-N-G,
really?
which actually
There we go.
sounds pretty awesome. But I think because we are trying to stay kind of family oriented, we probably won't go .wang. But if you are out there wanting to start up a website, let us know. We will sponsor you, or you can sponsor us, whatever, because we like saying .wang.
All right. Well, and at any rate, too, just in as much as the new podcast goes and everything else, if you like it, actually, even if you don't like it, go ahead and click subscribe.
Subscribe, please.
It's going to help increase our visibility online and get more listeners and those kinds of things. It's just a simple thing, but if you click subscribe, and also if you wouldn't mind leaving a review, obviously you can email us at videogamedads at yahoo.com. Or you can leave us feedback. We obviously will pay attention to that and try to, incorporate constructive criticisms and all those kinds of things. We're certainly open to all of those things. If anyone does have any advice or wants to hear a specific topic or whatever else, we'll try to incorporate those into what we do.
Yeah, and quickly on the name, we came to the name, honestly, it's a very generic name. We kind of did that on purpose just because simple podcast, simple guys getting together. We are not doing this for any notoriety, really any money. We're just doing this for fun. And we wanted people to search video games and probably find us and see, video game, I'm looking for something else. I'm looking for a dad podcast. Oh, there's video games as well. We just did it for simplicity's sake. So we know our name is kind of lame, but I think we embrace the lameness because we were all kind of lame because, again, we're in our 30s playing video games. We're not trying to win any awards on cool dad factor. No. So Video Game Dads is our name, and we love it. And if you guys think it's a little too simple, we agree. But that's how we came up to it. We just wanted to be easy to search. So Video Game Dads. But I'm starting to really like the name. What about you?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm good with it.
It's legit. I like it.
All right.
All right. Well, we will see you next time.
Okay. Thank you. If you enjoyed that music, please check out Evan King on Bandcamp for further details, and you can download some for yourself. Thank you.
Bye-bye.